So the Xiaomi 15's launch price being lower than the Xiaomi 14's launch price was definitely not on my 2025 bingo card. And you know what? Compared to the predecessor, the Xiaomi 15 actually surprised us a lot. While the hardware spec upgrade might not seem like a lot, there are improvements to performance, to battery life, and to cameras as well. I'm sure you're curious to know why I'm saying that. Well, stay with me. This is my detailed review of the Xiaomi 15 and comparison against the OnePlus 13 for good measure, because I'm sure that you're confused which one to pick, the compact monster or this large value for money flagship. By the way, I know that I sound like Farhan Akhtar from Rock On right now. That's because I have a sore throat. But stay with me if you're here for the first time. I'm not Farhan Akhtar. I'm actually Ashad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. First up, the Xiaomi 15 is a cutie patootie. It's like a tiny little compact phone. It's a breath of fresh air, especially when you have like massive phones like these that come out. And with respect to the design, I mean, it's not too different from the Xiaomi 14 if you look at it. But one thing you will notice is that it has a matte frosted finish now instead of a glossy, shiny finish on the rear for the glass, which is good. And you also get matte aluminum sides, which is pretty evident from the fact that you have plastic inserts for the antenna lights. Of course, the white finish of the phone is something that I really like, honestly, but that titanium silver is absolutely gorgeous. I managed to see it at MWC, but unfortunately, it's not coming to India. It's a limited edition that is probably available only in limited units globally. Now, the in-hand feel of the Xiaomi 15 is fantastic, obviously. In comparison, of course, the OnePlus 13 is bigger, but it's slim, which is nice. I mean, both have very similar thickness, if you ask me. And the OnePlus 13 actually has a vegan leather back and a glass back. Both options are available. But I know for a fact that a lot of people, if I showed them these two phones side by side, would gravitate towards the Xiaomi 15 as the better design. Now, when you look at the durability aspect of things, OnePlus 13 has a little bit of an advantage over the Xiaomi 15 because you get support for IP69 rating as opposed to IP68 on the Xiaomi 15. Now, both of these phones also do use their custom glass solution. Basically, on Xiaomi, you get the Xiaomi Shield 2.0 and OnePlus uses ceramic guard. The other advantage on OnePlus is that you get alert slider, which is not there on the Xiaomi 15. But don't be too happy about that alert slider because that's not going to be there for too long, which is something that I'm not a fan of because OnePlus has clearly said that they're going to remove the alert slider and replace that with an action button. What do you guys think of that move? Do you like it or not like it? Let me know in the comment section. I know that OnePlus is going ahead and removing the alert slider for a new fancy action button kind of thing, but YouTube still hasn't removed that subscribe button. You can still hit subscribe on that and, we'll get more subscribers and your support. So go ahead and do that. The one good thing about the Xiaomi 15 is definitely that the display is a 6.36-inch display. It's a tiny display, but it's a lovely AMOLED panel with 1.5K resolution and you get excellent HDR performance, great color tuning as well, especially with the original Pro Color mode. And of course, it's a 12-bit panel as opposed to a 10-bit panel on the OnePlus 13. And therefore, when we noticed, the colors side by side, you do get wider color gamut on the Xiaomi 15 compared to the OnePlus 13. More importantly, you do get support for Dolby Vision on both. But when we saw Netflix videos, especially something like Stranger Things, then we noticed that Xiaomi's color tuning is way better because especially with skin tones and everything, it gets it absolutely right. Because on OnePlus, even with the natural color mode, it sort of has a red skin tint in Netflix that we noticed. I mean, the OnePlus 13's panel is good, the large, 6.83-inch panel, which is like micro quad curved from all the four sides. But Xiaomi's is just way more flagship grade, if you ask me. And even when you look at the brightness when you're watching HDR videos, for some odd reason, the Xiaomi 15 is brighter than the OnePlus 13. And this is completely surprising primarily because the Xiaomi 15 is supposed to not be brighter than OnePlus 13 because OnePlus 13 has 4500 nits of peak brightness in HDR as opposed to 3200 nits on the Xiaomi 15. But what's more important is that when you use these displays in daily life, the OnePlus 13 seems to be brighter than the Xiaomi 15. And this is where the high brightness mode metric sort of matters because OnePlus's HBM brightness is slightly higher compared to Xiaomi 15. We also compared the speakers on these both. I think OnePlus does it better primarily because it has a larger chassis. Take a listen to it for yourself and let me know what you guys think. This despite the fact that Xiaomi has Dolby Atmos and OnePlus doesn't. Now, when you look at the haptic feedback motor or the vibration feedback, of course, OnePlus has O haptics and it does a very good job, but Xiaomi is actually better, surprisingly well tuned, very tight, very crisp, with great micro vibrations as well. The other good thing is both of these use the latest standard ultrasonic in-display fingerprint scanner, and they're pretty fast to unlock, and they will also unlock if your fingers are wet. Now, for the audiophiles in the house, you do also get support for Bluetooth high-res codecs like LHTC and LDAC on both, which is good. Now, we compared the performance on both these phones. Of course, you get Snapdragon 8 Elite LPDDR5X RAM type UFS 4.0 storage, all of which is standard for a 2025 flagship. So when the specs are the same, what matters is how these phones are tuned by their individual respective OEMs. And when you look at it from that perspective, both Xiaomi and OnePlus are very conservative in their approach when it comes to tuning, which is also of course evident from the benchmarks itself, as you can tell from the Antutu scores that you can see on your screen right now. But even then, when you compare the two, OnePlus does score higher, which is also true for the Geekbench scores, as you can tell for yourself. But the good thing about Xiaomi is that we ran the CPU throttle test that we do, where we engage 40 threads for 30 minutes, and Xiaomi throttled less or had better stability compared to the OnePlus 13, which is very good. But on the contrary, the GPU stability is better on the OnePlus 13 compared to the Xiaomi 15. And even when you look at the ray tracing performance, when we ran the Solar Bay ray tracing test, OnePlus 13 does score higher than the Xiaomi 15. By the way, one thing I found weird with the Xiaomi 15 is that when we ran benchmarks like, for example, the 3D Mark wireless stress test, which actually stresses the performance, the temperature rose up to 48 degrees. Thankfully, it was under 50 degrees, which is good. But still, I mean, 48 is on the higher side. But the same thing is not true for when you're actually gaming on the phone. Because we ran Genshin Impact for 30 minutes and we got an average FPS of 60.1 on the Xiaomi 15, and the temperature rose up to only about 38 degrees, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. In fact, the scores are pretty similar on the OnePlus 13 as well. Even in Wuthering Waves, the temperature didn't cross 45 degrees and we got about 58, 59 odd FPS on the average, which is again very similar to the OnePlus 13. Now, despite being a compact flagship, the Xiaomi 15 is actually tuned well, if you ask me. Yes, it's a little conservative, but that's important because it has a smaller chassis in comparison to the OnePlus 13. Now, but when you look at the battery performance, that's where OnePlus takes the lead, obviously, because it's got a large 6000 mAh silicon carbon battery, and you get a charging speed of 100 watts as opposed to 90 watts on the Xiaomi. So if OnePlus takes 36 minutes for a full charge, Xiaomi takes about 45. It's not too much of a difference. It's fine actually. But OnePlus does offer you 8 hours of screen on time as opposed to Xiaomi, which offers you about 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time, which also, as for Xiaomi's compact size with its 5248 mAh battery, is pretty good if you ask me. 6.5 hours with a compact phone is good. But yeah, if you're comparing apples to apples, then yeah, the OnePlus 13 has better battery life and faster charging speeds. Now, with respect to networking capabilities, both these phones are fantastic at 5G performance. Jio and Airtel work exceptionally well, and they do have a bunch of 5G bands for you to not have to worry about, 5G coverage in any part of the world. You also do get support for NFC on both the phones, but interestingly, Xiaomi does not offer Wi-Fi 7 support on the Xiaomi 15. It's only Wi-Fi 6, whereas the OnePlus 13 does have Wi-Fi 7 and it has Bluetooth 5.4, by the way. Xiaomi, on the other hand, has the latest standard Bluetooth 6.0, which is nice. Obviously, you get some future-proofing, but I don't see too many Bluetooth 6.0 products around yet. Now, let's talk about the cameras on both these phones. On paper, at least when you look at it, both these phones have very similar specs with 50 megapixel triple camera setups on the rear. But there are slight differences, and that's mainly to do with the sensor sizes. Xiaomi's primary and telephoto cameras have larger sensors, whereas OnePlus's ultra-wide-angle camera has a larger sensor. Now, Xiaomi has also replaced that 3.2x from the Xiaomi 14 to a 2.6x now, which is fine considering that the sensor is larger now. And on OnePlus, you get a 3x periscope lens. And when it comes to the selfie cameras, it's actually the same 32 megapixels. Now, hardware doesn't really matter. We need to take a look at the pictures, and let's just go ahead and do that. Thanks to Xiaomi's larger primary sensor, it pulls in more details in daylight compared to OnePlus, that's for sure. Now, when you zoom in at 2x in sensor crop, Xiaomi pulls in more details once again. Now, switching to the 2.6x zoom camera, and again, Xiaomi is obviously better because it has an optical 2.6x zoom. And at 3x, OnePlus 13's optical zoom camera kicks in and captures a better looking shot. But you know what? At 3x, I think Xiaomi is also good here if you look at it closely. At 5.2x, which is the in-sensor crop of the 2x camera, Xiaomi is better. At 6x, which is the in-sensor crop of the 3x camera, OnePlus is better. But we also shot images at longer zoom ranges like at 10x, 30x and 60x, and the AI-based upscaling that Xiaomi has implemented is actually superior compared to OnePlus. So the details that have been filled in look a little more natural, a little more true to life, and a little more crisp compared to OnePlus. However, when you look at the color tuning, they're closer to neutral and better on OnePlus. The Hasselblad color science actually does a pretty good job compared to Xiaomi's Leica color science, of which you get two options, basically Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic. Now, Leica Vibrant is the one Xiaomi has co-produced with Leica, and Leica Authentic is one where it replicates the look of a Leica camera, the film look of a Leica camera, which actually has vignetting around the corners, and that I'm not really a fan of. Now, skin tones are not entirely neutral on either phone, and on Xiaomi we tried with both the Leica Authentic and Leica Vibrant. Now, when you look at the HDR tuning, I actually prefer Xiaomi here, which is a surprise because until now Xiaomi was struggling with HDR. They seem to have improved it. Granted, I would have pulled up the shadows slightly more to have a little more impact, but you can see the dynamic range properly here as opposed to the OnePlus 13, which looks a little flatter. Not that the OnePlus 13 looks bad by any means, but I like the dynamic look of Xiaomi here. And you will see why I meant Xiaomi should pull a little more details in the shadows, because in this picture of Srikanth against the light, I actually prefer OnePlus 13's HDR processing because it brings out more details in the face. Yes, I know OnePlus looks a little slightly over processed, but the HDR is done tastefully instead of making it look too over processed, which is good. Now, portraits on the Xiaomi 15 have different focal lengths this time. It has the standard 23mm, 35mm, 60mm replacing the 50mm from the Xiaomi 14, and finally the 75mm. And unlike the Xiaomi 14, which had the 90mm, this time there is no 90mm. On OnePlus as well, you can shoot at 5 different focal lengths, which is good. So in terms of portraits, I like how Xiaomi renders the skin tones, and it has really good looking bokeh as well. But upon close inspection, the OnePlus 13 has a better edge cutout. Now, Xiaomi has two different styles for portraits. One is called Master Portrait and the other is called Leica Portrait. And the difference is Master Portrait clicks brighter portraits as compared to pictures clicked using the Leica Portrait style, which is something we actually prefer. Now, when you take a look at the ultra-wide angle camera, easily OnePlus wins compared to Xiaomi. Whether you take a look at the ultra-wide pictures we shot in good, decent daylight, or the HDR performance of the ultra-wide angle camera, or even the low-light shot, the larger sensor is definitely coming in handy here. As for the color sense consistency between the primary and the ultra-wide, both the phones are actually doing a pretty good job, if you ask me, and I'm glad about that. But where Xiaomi actually pulls up ahead, especially with the primary camera, is the low light shots that we shot with it. So Xiaomi sensor can definitely pull in more light, it has more details, and it looks sharper. OnePlus tends to crush the shadows and keep it looking a little dark compared to Xiaomi 15 sample, and that has been a problem with the OnePlus Nightscape tuning. Now, in terms of selfies, with the OnePlus 13, the details are better, but the skin tones are not close to neutral on both. OnePlus tends to redden the skin, where Xiaomi tends to turn the skin yellowish. Selfie portraits look good on OnePlus as opposed to Xiaomi because you get better edge cutout and better bokeh as well. However, when you look at low light selfies, I feel like Xiaomi does a better job compared to OnePlus. You can take a look at it for yourself. Now, since Xiaomi has a floating telephoto lens, it actually takes great looking macros, and that is a problem with the OnePlus because OnePlus's macro capabilities are not that great, especially the OnePlus 13, because the focus distance is very, very long. Now, when it comes to shooting videos, both Xiaomi 15 and OnePlus 13 can shoot Dolby Vision 4K 60 FPS videos, and the quality, however, when you looked at it, is slightly better on Xiaomi 15 because it has a higher bitrate as well when it's recording videos. Now, while shooting standard dynamic range videos without Dolby Vision on at 4K 60 FPS, OnePlus 13 is really good compared to Xiaomi 15. There's much more detail, better stabilization, and also better HDR as well. In fact, even the sound recording seems to be slightly better on the OnePlus 13.
Alright, so right now I'm shooting videos using the primary lens of the Xiaomi 15 and the OnePlus 13. So I'm just walking slightly faster.
That's also true when you're zooming in for videos, because the zoom quality seems to be better on OnePlus 13 compared to the Xiaomi 15. Even with the ultra-wide angle lens, because the ultra-wide angle lens has a larger sensor, OnePlus 13 shoots better videos compared to the Xiaomi 15. Although, on the other hand, if you want to shoot a lot of videos using the selfie camera, then the Xiaomi 15 has better details, better dynamic range, and skin tones as well. In low-light video, both look very similar, but the noise correction when we looked at the close crop of the image seems to be better in Xiaomi's sample. Xiaomi is also able to pull in a little bit more details from the shadows, but at a glance, both are very similar. Now, if you ask me which is the better camera phone between the two, I wouldn't be able to pick one. Very difficult, because this one has certain pros, certain cons, and this one also has certain pros, certain cons, which I've already highlighted. So yeah, you'll have to figure out what is more important to you. Alright, now time to talk about the software experience. I actually prefer OxygenOS over HyperOS. I'll get to that in a bit, but before that, the Xiaomi 15 is running HyperOS 2.0 based on Android 15, and Xiaomi is also promising 4+6 years of updates, which is pretty good. OnePlus is also promising 4+6 years of updates, and when it comes to general track record, OnePlus has generally been better compared to Xiaomi. Now, with respect to pre-installed apps, both these phones have pre-installed apps, but I mean, you can uninstall them. That shouldn't be a problem, and none of them are like bloatware apps, so that's not an issue. Now, animations wise, of course, OnePlus's parallel animations are so beautiful now. You know who did parallel animations first? Even before OnePlus did it, HyperOS did it. And it is so good even on this with HyperOS 2.0. So yeah, both are equally matched, I would say. Now with respect to AI features that are similar on both, you do get Circle to Search and Google's Gemini support along with Gemini Advanced as well, which is pretty good. But there are some different first-party AI features on both, and let me just highlight them for you, especially with the HyperOS 2.0 that you get with Xiaomi 15 first. So you have AI writing, you have AI speech recognition, which is nice. You also have AI interpreter, which is very similar to what Samsung does. You've got AI subtitles with which you can generate real-time subtitles for your online calls and meetings, which is damn cool. Then you have a bunch of AI features inside the gallery, which includes AI Enhance, AI Image Expansion, AI Eraser, AI Sky Editor, and AI-based Reflection Eraser as well. Even OnePlus has a bunch of AI features. For example, you've got AI Writer, AI Notes Assist, AI Summary, AI Detail Boost, and again, AI Reflection Eraser, all of that. One of the things that OnePlus has, which is modern, is live activities, of course, which is very similar to what Apple does with the Dynamic Island. Xiaomi has like only something similar happening when you charge the phone, but not beyond that. You also do get fantastic looking always-on displays and lock screens on both the phones, but I do like HyperOS's lock screen better. Then you get stuff like split screen, floating window, all of those multitasking features on both the softwares. Now you must be thinking, hey, both the softwares seem to be offering similar kinds of features, animations are very good, the experience is quite premium. But the one reason why I kind of prefer OxygenOS is because it's got a better design, if you ask me, and it feels a little bit more cohesive compared to HyperOS. But yeah, both are good. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. Overall, if you look at it, the Xiaomi 15 compared to the Xiaomi 14 is definitely an upgrade, and the 12512GB variant is available for 60,000 after discounts, especially with ICICI card, which is pretty good pricing, and it is 5,000 rupees lower than the OnePlus 13. So for that extra 5,000 rupees, what do you get with the OnePlus 13? You of course get a larger phone with a larger display. You do get better battery life and slightly faster charging speeds, and I do prefer OxygenOS experience over HyperOS. Cameras, I would say both are neck to neck. Ashad, you're making it really difficult for us. Which one would you pick? Let us know between the two. Honestly, this time I cannot. I really cannot. I like both these phones. They've got their own character, their own style. I mean, the OnePlus 13 is a large, nice, great value for money flagship. And the Xiaomi 15, while it's tiny, it's cute, it's also a pretty good value for money flagship. I'm not making the choice. Arnav.
OnePlus.
OnePlus 13. Tanishq.
Xiaomi 15.
Okay. Aditya, कौन सा pick करेगा?
OnePlus 13.
OnePlus 13. और तेजस तू?
Xiaomi.
Xiaomi ने तेरे को compact phones पसंद है. See, even here it's a tie. So, I mean, it's gonna be a tough one to pick between the two, honestly. Can you guys do that for me? Pick one. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep Trakin and stay safe from this Farhan Akhtar look-alike or sound-alike. Bye-bye.